In a previous video, I spoke at length about how Nights into Dreams was datamined. This was specifically the 2012 PC port of a 2008 PlayStation 2 remaster, and not a datamine of the original Sega Saturn game. Regardless, I saw the datamine itself as a landmark event, since plenty of amazing discoveries were made. I then wondered where the project could go from here, and what were the possibilities that lay before us. Whatever those possibilities were, I actually expected to wait a long time to see them, and I assumed there wouldn't be any further updates for a while. I was wrong with that assumption. Not only are there updates, but the excavation team are making progress in a way that this fanbase has not seen before. They are digging into territory that we've simply never been to, and now I'm going to talk about their progress. It's heavily recommended that you watch the previous video first, just so you're up to speed with all the context. I'll try my best to keep things coherent, but I want to remind everybody that I am not a data miner myself, and this sort of technical stuff goes way over my head. Again, I apologize in advance if I get any information incorrect. In fact, before this video begins, I already need to make a correction. After my last video, Saturn Memories reached out to inform me that Nights into Dreams' 2008 remaster was actually built from the Saturn source code. I incorrectly reported that the remaster was built from the ground up, which apparently wasn't the case. According to blog posts from the developers back in 2008, some source code was used, but as is the case with Sega Saturn code, it was incredibly inconvenient and difficult to work with, but nevertheless, they were able to utilize it. So, when you play the 2012 port of the 2008 remaster, you are essentially playing traces of the original Sega Saturn version. And that's an interesting fact to lead with, because I'd like to begin this video by asking you all to take a look at this. What you're looking at is an unused beta model of Nights' Ideya Palace. It only has 3 pillars instead of the usual 5 that we are all familiar with. This object was dug out from the 2012 port of the 2008 remaster. If we take into consideration that Saturn assets were used for the remaster, then this beta Ideya Palace technically originates from within the 1995 to 1996 production timeframe, which is when the original version of the game was being developed for the Sega Saturn. But what is this unused asset doing in a remaster from 2008? Well, one possible explanation could be that the devs for the 2008 remaster grabbed everything they could from the original source, and along with it came this unused beta asset of the Ideya Palace. They then combed through the assets to figure out what was used in the Saturn retail version and what was not, and all the assets that were not used were left buried in the remaster's data. It's either that or the source code they used for the remaster wasn't the source code of the final Saturn release, but instead perhaps it was the source code from an earlier development build entirely, which is a wild theory in itself, but it is a possible one. Regardless, if what we're looking at truly is an unused asset from the Sega Saturn era, then it now begs the question, what else could be found from that period? And where should our data miners look to seek those undiscovered assets? Gremmar Warden, the head of the data mining project, made an update on the main site regarding the team's progress. I want to quickly paraphrase some of the things that she mentions. Since I last updated this site, a lot has changed. More people have joined the Ripping project and we've discovered a lot of new things. For one thing, we have started to figure out the basics of how to extract textures and sprites from the original Saturn version, and I can guarantee some very exciting discoveries are in store. Also, we have discovered what part of the data determines which textures are applied to the game's models. I added this feature to my asset ripper and I highly recommend you check it out. To put it shortly, with the aid of new data miners joining the project, Gremmar was able to create a tool that rips Saturn textures and sprites. This is something that the Nights community has never had before. A real opportunity to dig into Nights' Saturn assets without hitting a confusing dead end. Now, for the time being, I would like to remind you that this is purely for sprites and textures only. Trying to extract other assets like 3D models, for example, is another headache entirely and one that isn't being dealt with at the moment. But progress is progress. What you're witnessing right now is the Nights community's first slow steps into uncharted territory. The Saturn is no longer off limits, and it's all thanks to this amazing team of talented individuals. Speaking of which, Ketrin then made a confirmation to something I had wondered in the last video. Because we have been unable to datamine the original Sega Saturn game itself, it is unknown if the origins for Mecha Knights date back as far as 1996, but if we ever do one day datamine that game successfully, I would love to know if Mecha Knights was in there all along. You already know where this is going, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Yes, Mecha Knights originates from the original Nights into Dreams. Ketrin found the assets in the Sega Saturn version's data. This revelation blows my mind when I think about it. Mecha Knights has been there all along, like for over 25 years. It was just sitting there in the game and none of us knew. It's been there the entire time. Madness, absolute madness, but I am so glad we were able to confirm Mecha Knights' origins. The possibilities from Datamining the Saturn version will reveal itself in due time. As I said, it's still early days at the moment, but I can't help but dream about the discoveries that might be made. It seems the data mining crew have bigger dreams than that, because what they did next was something I absolutely didn't expect. Not entirely content with just data mining the original Sega Saturn release, our heroes set their sights even further back than that. Please watch this footage.
Une frappe bien ajustée.
What you're watching is footage from Nights into Dreams' booth at E3 1996. E3 that year ran from May 16th to the 18th. A demo of Nights was playable on the show floor. It contained only 2 levels, and despite some minor differences, it's pretty reflective of the final version. Then, miraculously, in 2007, a copy of this E3 demo was found in the wild. It was purchased and then later donated to the Hidden Palace for preservation. The build date for this demo is listed as May 14th, 1996, which is 2 days before the E3 event that year, and 2 months before Nights into Dreams' official release on the Sega Saturn. Thanks to the Hidden Palace, the E3 1996 demo of Nights into Dreams has been made available for public download. Our data miners were not only about to start digging into the final Sega Saturn release of Nights into Dreams, but they were gearing up to simultaneously data mine this E3 demo too. Now, one could be quick to argue that if the demo is fairly reflective of the final release, then chances are there's probably nothing new to find from data mining it, and in some cases, you might be correct, it is just a demo after all. But that's where things get even crazier for us. Hold on to your hats because I've got some other footage to show you. What you're seeing right now is promotional video footage of Nights that was shown to the media around the time of E3 1996. It is only a video demo, however, and this particular piece of content itself was not playable to the public. Keep watching. Did you catch that? Let's look at it again. Observant Nights fans might have noticed that something looked different. Namely, the contraption known as the Ideya capture has a completely different design from the one seen in the retail release. Furthermore, there also appears to be some sort of blue door object that doesn't appear in the final game at all. This beta Ideya capture and the unknown blue door object are not featured in the playable E3 demo. As I said, that playable demo is more reflective of the final game, so the demo's assets are more in line with what we know them to be as. This leads us to believe that this video demo contains old stock footage of Nights which was recorded during an earlier development build. All very interesting stuff, that's for sure, but then the world was spun even further upside down because despite these assets not being featured in the playable demo, Ketrin dug out a texture that belongs to the unused blue door from within the playable E3 demo's data. That's right, despite not being part of the playable demo itself, for some reason the demo still contains traces of data for this unused asset. Sega hadn't removed it yet prior to prepping the discs for E3 that year. According to Ketrin, the textures for this blue door are not present in the final retail version of Nights on the Saturn. This means that within the 2 months between the E3 demo and Nights' release day, Sega removed the asset entirely. And had it not been for the preservation of this E3 demo, nor had it not been for the data miners digging into the demo's data, we never would have seen elements of this asset further beyond this brief footage from 1996. Nobody at the moment is even sure what the blue door object is. We don't even really know if it's a blue door. I'm just calling it a blue door because I think it looks like a doorway. But regardless, if we watch the footage, it almost looks like it's something that is intentionally meant to be interacted with by the player. As soon as Ideya is seen freeing the Ideya from the beta Ideya capture, he purposefully leaps towards the blue door as if it's part of the gameplay loop, but the video cuts before we see what the blue door actually does. It's safe to say that this object doesn't seem to be a beta asset for something else, as it doesn't look nor act like anything else in Nights into Dreams. It's possible the gameplay loop of Nights might have featured different objectives, or perhaps this could have been a doorway to some sort of bonus stage, but that's all just speculation. Whatever it is, it's left me personally intrigued, and I wonder if we'll ever have a solid answer to this mysterious asset. The data mining project continues. I will no doubt provide another update once the crew dig further. At the moment, they have made huge strides in accessing textures and sprite data, which is a brilliant win for the Nights community. Where the project goes from here is anybody's guess, but it can only grow further with help and assistance. And I want to talk to you all directly about this now, as it's important for the project's progression. This project is open to the public. Grammar's image tool is available for download and you are invited to join in. Furthermore, I want to put the word out and strongly emphasize that this Datamine project needs data miners and people with experience. If you have technical know-how into data mining, or you are good with programming or coding, then please consider checking in with the team. We can only achieve more breakthroughs if more people become involved. So if you know your stuff, or you know somebody who does, then please consider jumping on board. I personally recommend that you join the Nights Discord server, as that's where most of the active discussion is taking place, and if you want to help the crew, then that's the best place to interact with them. All links are available in the video description. Please check them out and get involved. You might just become part of Nights' history. We haven't broken through so many barriers like this before. It's almost become like a gold rush right now. There's never been a more interesting time to be part of this community. We're doing things we've never been able to do, and with the right sort of people involved, who knows what else could be possible for this project. In my last video, Datamining the Saturn version of Nights was nothing but a pipe dream, and look at where we are now, not even 2 months later. If you can get involved, I encourage you all to please do so. Once again, I want to thank Gremmar and Ketrin and everybody taking part already. You're all doing incredible things, and I wish you all the best of luck with the remainder of the dig. The next video I do that covers the Nights into Dreams data mine will highlight some of the brand new discoveries that have been made, so I hope you all be looking forward to that. And until next time, thanks for watching.